It's like, what were you doing with my drapes? The drapes that were hanging in the apartment. I never got the answer to that. Hi, this is Kari from Sky Properties, and today we're going to talk about the importance of your parking agreement with your tenant and how that can play out inside your building. So my worst experience in property management is when I towed someone's car. And I always tell every property manager that I ever hire, do not tow a car unless you have an unbelievably good reason for doing so. Don't do so because another tenant says so. Don't do so because your boss says so. Make sure that that car is impeding traffic or causing a problem or is dangerous. Don't just tow it because he's in the wrong spot, because I have never seen anyone madder than when I towed his car. Parking issues for tenants in a residential building can be one of your biggest issues, especially if the person who assigns the parking is not very organized, or the prior manager or owner didn't assign spaces, things like that. You get to hear things like, but the old manager told me that I could have 2 spaces and they only have 1 space, or their lease says they only have 1 space, or the last owner gave me all 3 of these spaces right up front and no one else can have them. So there's a couple of different things you can do to resolve this. I would say, 1, make sure that you have something in your lease agreement that states what the parking arrangement is, and that it also states in your lease or a separate parking agreement, which I personally prefer because then it's not tied to the unit. I think that it should say that you can change the parking at any time that you need to. And this can become especially essential when you have like an ADA issue and someone asks for a reasonable accommodation. If you've assigned exact parking spaces to tenants and then have to move them and there's no right to do that in the lease, it can become very sticky and tenants can get very upset about that. You might hear things like, I only took this apartment because I had a parking space that was close and it was going to be convenient for my groceries. Now you've made it much harder, or now I'm closer to the gate and I don't feel as safe. So I think that parking can be a very big deal at a residential building. You want to organize it from the beginning. You want to make sure everything's in writing, and you want to be sure that you have some flexibility in your agreement to fix it if it goes wrong.